The Friday night table is a reenactment for centuries of our lives in the land of Israel. And the light was the light we got from olive trees. What was the electricity in the Holy Land for centuries? Olive oil. So this image of the Jewish woman, whether she's in Fez, Morocco, or in Lvov in Poland, she's actually reenacting this connection, this deep, deep connection. And in fact, so we begin every Shabbat with a kind of deep connection, whether we know it or not, to these trees, these olive trees, which, by the way, from what I understand, it's the only tree that can regenerate when it dies, which is very much part of the Jewish tradition, this idea of regeneration, that we're yet again, we're reborn, recreated, we're renewed, the olive tree. And then, of course, the wine is a symbol, the grapes. This we don't share with Islam, the wine. We share with Christianity. But the grape, which is the symbol of, lush bounty, celebration. It's celebratory. The idea that wine is celebrated, that Judaism only celebrates on condition that others celebrate with us. It's the poor, it's the widow, it's the orphan, and not just the Jewish widow and orphan. It should be every widow and orphan. And last but not least, this is the order of the Shabbat. And by the way, many Israelis, whether you're religious or not, will have wine and challah for sure, the bread, and maybe even light candles without saying a blessing, because it's a kind of environment. And last but not least, of course, is the challah, which is the symbol of our basic sustenance, what we share. In fact, when we start every meal, we say a blessing, not over steak, right? Over bread, over the most basic thing that we share, and the bread that comes from out of the land that we humans are partners. So I think that it's certainly in our Jewish lives, our rituals are constant reminders of our obligation to this land, not just this land, our obligations to others, and maybe we're at a point where we're, with our more confidence, ready to also really open up the Shabbat table, really like our father Abraham and Sarah, really open the tent and bring others in.
The message in Islam is very much that the earth is God's domain. None of us own any part of this world. And what I understand from that is that there is a huge emphasis on sharing, that no one has the authority to take one part of the world and say that that is theirs, and that other people have less of a right to be there than them. And that is particularly important, I think, in this part of the world. But I think that in this part of the world, the politics very, very much overshadow things, and as a Muslim and as an environmentalist, I'm often come across ethical issues about how to deal with certain communities in certain situations and how to bridge gaps. And I personally don't think that religion has anything to do with it. I think that it is about looking at the shared responsibility of everyone here, and certainly my religion would back that up, that all of us have a responsibility to take. This life is a short life. It's what we'll be judged on, and we have to be able to answer for every single thing that we did. So that is, I think, the most important lesson of Islam for how we live our lives and our relationship with the environment here. Very much what makes sense to me as a Muslim is that Islam as a religion is a way of life. It feeds into every single part of our daily life. And therefore, for me, being a person who does focus both in work and in my hobbies and things on the environment plays a big role in that. So that I get up in the morning, look outside, and for me now as a Muslim, I say praise to God for the picture before me, kind of thing. I live also in a very beautiful area of Israel. The Judean hills are I think, the nicest parts of this part of the world. Actually found in the older generation's way of living that as an environmentalist now living in the community, I'm trying to renew that knowledge to the younger generation. And to strengthen that by reinforcing the religious value of everything as well, the idea of not being wasteful, of giving and sharing not just to people but also to the environment.
And he says to God, "Please God, welcome strangers who come to this temple and hear their prayers and answer them." Now, why should God answer the prayers of someone who believes in another kind of God or another kind? So that they shall know your name, that's what he says, because there is here a message of tolerance and mutual respect. So what we're saying in the Green Pilgrimage Network is that not only must we be respectful of our own places of worship, make them green and clean and sustainable, not only must we undertake our journey in a respectful way, but we must be able, supposing I visit a Hindu shrine, I should be able to feel respect for the Hindus who worship in the shrine, and they should be able to visit my holy places as well. So this issue of mutual respect is also a cornerstone of that.
אני לא רוצה להגיד בגלל שאני מנהלת ויש לי מקום להשפיע, הצלחתי.
I don't want to say that my success was because I'm a principal and I have my sphere of influence.
אני חושבת בכל עניין שאנחנו מאמינים בו, אם אני מאמינה ויש לי חלקת אלוהים הקטנה שלי ואני רוצה לשנות, אני יכולה לשנות.
I feel that whatever I have faith in, if I have the will to change and I have my own little sphere of influence, then I can change.
אני אישית בבית החלטתי שאני גם את הילדים שלי אני מחנכת אחרת.
Personally, at home, I decided that my own children, I will educate them differently.
וכן יש לנו קומפוסטר בבית, שאנחנו אוספים את כל השאריות של האוכל.
And we have a composter for all the food remains.
וכל מיני דברים, אנחנו גם ממיינים פסולת, זבל, ואנחנו זורקים במקומות הנכונים, ואנחנו נותנים בקבוקים למי שצריך בשביל שימחזר את זה.
We recycle, we give bottles to whoever needs it to recycle, we separate our food.
וכאשר אני נוסעת לחו"ל, בעיקר לחו"ל, אני מחפשת גם מוזיאונים כאלה, שאפשר לראות כאילו באמנות המודרנית בעיקר, שאספו את זה ועשו מזה ומכל מיני פקקים.
And when we go abroad, I always look for museums where we can see especially modern art where they collect things, they collect different bottles, different things and reuse them for their art.
כאילו באמת החברה שלנו השתדרגה ממש מהר.
This shows us that our society has taken a huge leap very fast.
אנחנו חיים כמה דורות, אבל כל אחד בעידן אחר.
We are living a few generations, but each one is living in a different age.
ואני חושבת שזה פלוס, זה באמת אפשר לזכות מזה.
This is something very beneficial that we can benefit.
אנחנו לא שכחנו, אנחנו עדיין, כחברה ערבית, אנחנו עדיין חיים בכפרים הקטנים, בכפרים, יש כפרים שעדיין שומרים על המנהגים שלהם, יש את הבדואים שממש שומרים על כל המנהגים האלה שאפשר ללמוד מהם המון.
We as an Arab society haven't forgotten. We still live in villages. We still maintain our traditions. We can see the villages, for example, the Bedouin villages who keep their traditions to this very day.
We may not press creation relentlessly in an effort to maximize productivity. And that's based on scripture from Exodus and from the 25th chapter of Leviticus. The principle of sustainability means providing an acceptable quality of life for present generations without compromising for future generations. So we draw heavily on our Jewish heritage and the idea of Sabbath and Jubilee, resting, making sure that we don't overconsume and take from those who will be following us. A lot of Lutherans are very tied to the land because they, especially in the United States, they're farmers. When she said she was from Minnesota, I asked her, I said, "Are you Lutheran?" Because we have so many Lutherans in that area. And so they're very tied to the land. So although they might not express themselves by saying, we care for the land, they may not even identify as progressive or liberal, but they care very much for that land. And they really want to make sure that it passes from generation to generation, that it's taken care of, and that it gets the rest it needs to continue to produce. So they would not probably know or use the term jubilee, but they are rotating their crops and doing these types of things to make sure that production is maximized and the land is taken care of at the same time. I took my congregation to a mosque and we met the imam and my people who were rural people and farmers and had never seen a Muslim in their life. They didn't know what this was. And why do you wear that thing on your head? Those were their questions. You know, they didn't know. They'd say, what is this? And I took them to a mosque and they met the imam and they were able to ask their questions and see that these were not bad people. They said, oh, they're just like us. Yeah, they're just like you.